Morning, everyone. Guess we can call this meeting of MSRAC to order at 9:03. First item on the agenda is approval of the June 10th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
That was
Did you
moved,
catch that?
moved by Lewis and seconded by O'Leary.
Any discussion on the minutes? Looks like it was a good meeting.
It was
Very
the best.
productive. Very productive construction kickoff. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstained since I wasn't there. Okay, then moving on. Minutes are approved. Number 3, correspondence.
Nothing that isn't relevant to another agenda item. I actually don't have the agenda up in front of me, which I should do.
Okay. And item 4, citizens' comments. Comments, Don?
The only comment I might have, was reading the Webster Times in that Gumpert is progressing at that Stevens Mill in Webster, that the Historical Society waived the waiting period for demolishing buildings, and they okayed it, a portion of Stevens Mill that wasn't part of the original. So I don't know if you updated that. He seems to be active, pretty active up there. So I don't know if we light a fire on the room over here. But that's up to you, Cassie.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Maybe when we get down to one of the items about the flood map, we'll be talking about the river mill then and see, because that's obviously in his way, the FEMA. Thanks for that information. So any other citizens' comments? Okay, then we'll move right into number 5, committee business. The Riverside Drive Lot 6 Sidewalk Project. Construction update. We have with us a representative from Freeman. What's your name, sir?
My name is Kevin Bloomquist. I represent Freeman Companies. I'm working for the town of Thompson as an inspector. There's also Chris Superno, who is here Monday to Wednesday. I am here Thursday and Fridays. So the project's about 25% completed. We've made it a significant way down Riverside Avenue. I know one issue that was brought up was scheduling with the school starting in the next couple of weeks. I believe that we'll be past the entrance to the school by next week. So I don't think it'll be much of an issue. There might be, just for traffic reasons, you've noticed an increase of traffic just because of the flaggers. They have to stop one side, continue through one side. So that might impede some traffic. So we just need to keep an eye on that. But otherwise, I think we're making good progress down the street. I talked with Tyra yesterday about towards this end of the project, there's going to be a lot more work going on with landscaping and kind of changing the footprint of the sidewalk and where the curb is going to be. So there's going to be more heavy end of the work is going to be on towards past the town hall. So again, with traffic that way, just got to be cognizant of having flaggers there, keeping the traffic flowing. And other than that, I think we're making pretty good progress.
Great. Do you think we're still on schedule as far as coordination with the DOT and their repaving of Route 12?
Yes, so Yu Yang is the engineer on record for this project, and he let me know yesterday or Wednesday that we are on schedule. So he's keeping track of the schedule, he's keeping track of the budget. I'm obviously accounting as I'm here, using a volume 2, which is a DOT standard, to keep track of the items and the quantities. So that's how we're keeping the budget in track and the timeline as well. So I think we're pretty good on the schedule as well.
And is there any change orders or questions?
Yeah, there was, I think, one change order, I believe, was down towards where we are calling the beginning of the project, towards what circle road is it?
Circuit Court.
Circuit Court. So towards that end of the project, we had a slight issue with a retaining wall that was close to the sidewalk, and we were trying to figure out, what can we do to maybe liven up the area, or just kind of confront this issue. There's a small patch of grass that would be left over. It kind of looked kind of funky with the retaining wall there. So we're working with Tyra and our landscape folks and the construction company to do maybe a strip of mulch or a strip of crushed stone with some flowers or some vegetation there, just to kind of lift it up a little bit. So that was one changer that we kind of confronted a couple weeks ago.
Do any members or audience have any questions for Kevin?
You said you'll be past the school, by the time school, but will they be able to use the rest of it to?
Oh yeah, so typically with concrete, the next day or a couple of days afterwards, you can drive right over the concrete. So
I mean, the portions where you're about to work or have worked.
oh yeah,
So
so
importantly, the ones you're about to work.
right, yes, because I'm sure you guys noticed they're excavating ahead of the sidewalks. So that, again, I think that might be an issue we might have to talk to Armand about, just having proper coning and signage to make sure there's no liability of people falling in and hurting themselves or walking through there. So I think we should probably get a little bit of an update from Armand where exactly he thinks he's going to be ending up by the time school starts. Just, I know we've talked about there's not a lot of walking population, like walking into school. It's more buses and drop-offs. So again, I think we should talk to Armand about where exactly he's going to end up. Make sure we have proper signage, proper block off of any open trenching that's happening, and to keep it tight. So the construction work is kind of tight with the excavation work. So we don't have like this large gap of, excavated soil that someone could be falling into. So I understand that. So yeah, we'll try to update with you that schedule.
Anybody else have any questions?
It's great.
It does.
It's really looking.
And it seems like they're already really keeping it tight. I'm like, wow, they're just.
Yeah, they started off with a larger gap, but they seem to catch up the past couple of days with the curbing and the concrete. So
That looks beautiful.
yeah, I'm glad y'all are happy with it. I know it's been a long time coming, and folks have been excited about it. So
Good.
Yeah.
No problems with the neighbors? Are they all excited?
yeah, it seems everyone's. We actually had a couple of folks give some water during the long hot weeks that we've had. So it's been really good. Everyone's kind of been watching and just being cheerful about it. So I
Great.
know it can be disruptive, but at the same time, I know people are.
Well, those improved driveway aprons that have been done, that's got to make the people who live in those
Yeah.
houses happy.
Yeah.
I mean, they
agree.
certainly look much better.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe one of our next month's meetings will have a walk.
Yeah.
We should
Yeah.
start off and
That could be
start or end the meeting with a walk of the new sidewalks. Okay, then, does anybody have anything else on the lots of sidewalk project? Otherwise, we can let Kevin get back to work and we can move on in our agenda.
Just for whatever it's worth, we have received the money from the state, so our contractors are getting paid now. It came in Saturday, the 6th of August, we finally got the transmission from the state.
Wow. So do they give you, I'm not sure how they release it. Do they release it in progress payments or they give the whole amount? So now you
It
can
was
pay in a
1
timely.
It was 1.8 million and change.
Okay, so now you can timely.
Yep.
Be paying. That's great. Good.
Obviously, if you have any questions, my email, the phone, call me anytime. Coordinate with you, Yang and Chris, and get an answer for you. So
We appreciate it. I mean, you're welcome to stay, but you're also
Yeah,
free.
I
You're
got,
also
I
free
got
to
some
go.
pictures to take and
You're
some
free to go.
things to answer. So I appreciate it, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Well,
Kevin.
It was also a nice touch. I think it was you that was buying some lemonade or some drink from the kids.
Oh,
who
yeah.
were
Oh, yeah. I recognize
Selling
it.
on the
Yeah.
Side of the road.
Yes, they're cute. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right, see ya.
Hi, Kevin.
I saw that lemonade stand. I was like, wow, it's gonna
And
be
he was
hard for
over there
people to
buying.
get to it.
Who's just selling to all the guys, I guess. that
I think it
were
was for
working.
all the guys. I think that was
Okay,
the-
That was
good.
kind of good
Okay.
thinking on their
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, that's
Very
good.
enterprising.
Great.
Huh.
And don't let me forget you're there, Joanne, in case you want to speak, just jump right in.
Yep, what, am I the only, I'm the only one that's not present?
Right, correct.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Bernie usually comes in online, but he's not in today.
Oh, okay, all right.
Around somewhere.
Can hear you all. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so moving on to 5B, Blaine Road intersection paving. We do have some updates on that. Just to describe it.
Well, so we had a meeting last Thursday, Amy and Janet and Jessica Dokal, who is she's the estimator. I don't know what her actual formal role is, but she is at least the estimator for NC, the same contractor we're using out here for the sidewalks, to discuss, they're putting together an estimate to take on the Blaine Road intersection project, because our guys were going to do it, but we have no director of DPW. So I think it was actually Bernie who first brought it up. Although I also think we probably also all thought it. Why not use these same guys? Our selectmen found that logic compelling. So we're at least moving forward with getting the estimate. We don't have the formal estimate yet. No, which I was sort of expecting to have by now, actually, but whatever, I'm sure it'll be forthcoming soon. And it's okay, you're looking for Cindy? Yeah, you can just walk on through. Where was I? So we talked about the requirements. They've seen Provost and Rivera's plans. Janet did a supplemental markup taking into account the fact that the Eastern Connecticut Conservation District is still planning on coming in to do that LID and native landscaping piece on the northern side of the bump out. And that's that. We are waiting on their estimate, but I think unless it's like way out of bounds, the plan is just to go ahead and give them the contract.
And the other thing they were talking about, so with all the granite curb across the street, that those curbs should probably be granite as well, because there's a new crosswalk that's gonna lead to that, and then just like a gravel path going around the radius up towards Blaine Road, because there is no, there's no existing sidewalk or proposed concrete formal sidewalk on the west side of Riverside Drive, so.
And we talked about the addition of the guardrail, and just when Kelly gets
Oh, that's
back in,
right.
she's gonna pull up the supplier and who we usually use and do a sidewalk with them.
Great, yeah, if you guys drive over that bridge, the guide rail just like stops right at the bridge, and then it's just like chain link fence on either side, which is totally not safe. And it's a dangerous drop off, so if the ugly chain link fence, some of it is being removed, it should be replaced, with guide rail that ties into the guide rail on the bridge and extends down, or if the guide rail company thinks it should just go right across the bridge and tie down, so. But the contractor said, and Amy agreed, I mean, that would be something that the town could just enter into a contract with the guide rail company who does the guide rail repairs, because the general contractor would have to sub it out anyhow, so. It wouldn't really be part of the Blaine Road contract, but it's just, again, it's just, it'll just kind of button everything up from the bridge all the way out to the road. And the LI, in both cases, there can be like a leak off both in the north and south side into depressed areas for stormwater infiltration. So that will be some good. For the MS4, disconnecting of runoff.
The whole thing is gonna be a major facelift to match the facelift of the
Yeah,
sidewalks on this side. So, and
Fix the problem.
yeah, and the granite curbing, you know, when our guys were gonna do it, we were pretty much limited to the asphalt curbing. But to be able to get it tied in, it's just gonna look
Makes
so
that
much better.
property more attractive too. to some
It does,
degree.
it does.
Yes.
And getting rid of that stupid fence.
It's
Yeah.
the reason, it's the whole reason this committee was formed.
To get rid of that fence.
To get rid of
And it's
the
still up.
fence. I know. And fix that intersection. That has been in the works for so many years. So, yeah, so I just marked up these plans and some supplemental sketches and we'll give a price.
We still do not have any update, any real update from ECCD on their piece of that. Other than Dan Mullins did reply to me from an email that I sent before vacation, just to say that they still don't have their contract from Deep. Oh, here's Bernie. Bernie, let us know when you're in. Can't see what this thing shared. You just missed us talking about Blaine Road. All right, he's there. Yeah, so he still doesn't have his contract from the state, but I think they're working on it.
Yeah, the last email I saw was from Eric Thomas at Connecticut Deep, who administers these 319 grants, and he said they got new staff in, so it could be a couple months or something. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
But-
everything from Deep is taking forever, everything.
But I mean, if the setup is all there and the area is formed and it's graded and everything, it'll be ready for them to come in and plant it or.
When do they think they might be able to do this?
They don't know because they have no contract. I mean, as soon as they get the contract, they can at least do their scope of work on it, you know, their plot plan for it. The thing that would be really nice if they were able to do that sooner rather than later is that, you know, there's going to be some kind of landscaping on the other side that ECCD isn't working on. Some of that can probably use the same species list that we have for the sidewalk project, because those were all natives, but some of it might not. So it would be nice if it could kind of be coordinated.
I know that they were, and I'm just gonna bring this up again, I know that they were doing another project with this grant, correct?
ECCD,
Right.
yes, the pavers at the library, and that's the larger portion of
What
it by
is the
far.
approximate cost of what they were potentially gonna do? I just honestly just hate the thought of a year from now, one side not being done yet, because we were waiting for a grant that would have valued $10,000 when we could have just done it ourselves.
Right.
I'm just saying.
And I think it is in that area. I think it's something like
I mean, we
80 or
should say,
$90,000
do
for the
wrap it in.
pavers and like 10 to 15 for
Well,
this
that-
over
getting
here.
a
And then maybe
breakdown of
they can
that.
Do something else at the library.
Right.
I just.
We
I
should
just
get
need to
we
wait
should
for
get a
it.
clarification from that. Would you mind asking him for like a breakdown in case they, because you're right, once it comes to the fall planting season, then you don't want to just like wait.
Well, we know how long the LOTSIP grant took. And I know this is a smaller grant, but.
It's a
God
smaller grant
forbid,
and
a
it's
year from
already
now, it's
2
still
years
not
in.
landscape.
Right.
It's already been 2 years since
It could
they've
be
been
another.
awarded it. So they should theoretically be nearing the end of their troubles and
But there's no
travails,
staff.
but there's no staff. So yes, I'll do what I can to get some kind of
I'm
update
just
from.
saying, from my point of view.
So then
if
you'd
would
wrap
be-
it into this other company who would be giving us the quote.
If they're doing one side, they might as well do the other, but.
Great.
But that, just something to think about, especially with the new news that, oh, well, Deep has new staff and well, that could.
Right.
I'll do what I can to, I don't know how much Eric Thomas is going to tell me about somebody else's grant,
Right.
but I will do what I can.
Right. Well, and the
And I
thing
can
is,
reach out to Dan Mullins
pl-
too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the planting would be in the fall. So I mean, that's not a lot of time, but I mean, there's like 6 weeks only, because that's probably when the south side would be planted,
Mhm.
so. Oh, yeah, I didn't think you'd have to go to Eric Thomas. I thought you could just get it from Dan Mullins.
Well,
What his breakdown is.
I
Right.
think I have his cost breakdown.
Oh, okay.
And I think it is something like that. It's something like $80,000 or $90,000 for the pavers over here and 10 to 15 for this little project over here.
But again, if NC is doing the majority of the grading and the site work, so is it 10 to 15 for plants, or what else are they gonna be doing?
No, I think it would be less than that for plants,
Yeah.
because I think some of their contract was sizing and doing some calculations and more design, not just planting. But, we clearly couldn't wait for that. Kind of had to just, they can't estimate it, so.
Hi.
um,
Is this where I sign a child down for the adventure camp?
Quest, is there nobody in?
Right.
Oh, okay. Let me see what I can do.
Thank you. And sorry.
No, no worries.
Morning. So they can start next week.
So anyways, just food for thought.
Yes, that's an excellent idea.
All right, I will do what I can to follow up with both of them.
Because,
But-
yeah, if the money comes in late, it can just be diverted to another project, another LID project. They had other areas they were looking at, right? The school and. like you said,
Right,
more
so
the
they peeled
library.
that piece out on the school to do this because this was the more desirable project. But if the timing now isn't gonna work, maybe it can go up there. Now, that's gonna complicate his process with Deep a little bit because they've already adjusted the scope once. That's not really our problem.
Right, it's not our problem if they won't act. And maybe you could ask.
Or they could put it all into the library and do
Mhm.
more
Right,
landscaping around there. I mean, whatever.
I mean,
works.
could you ask Noons for the base price plus the extra to do the northern?
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
Okay,
I mean, let's see what the estimate is
okay,
so that we're not delaying the initial estimate by more. So let's get
Okay.
the estimate and then we can ask for an add-on.
okay. Makes sense to me. Anybody else have any good ideas to share about that?
Cool.
Okay, then I guess we could move on to item C, development of 630 Riverside Drive. And I do believe there has been some activity.
There has been. There was an offer made, a private offer made. It was a lowball offer. The lowball offer, I believe, was not accepted, but I think they were working out a backup, slightly less lowball offer. I have not had an update since then. That was with the local developer that we met with almost 2 months ago now. In the back pocket, we also had that other meeting with, and I forget the name, I can't remember the name of the company, but a very competent and interested development company who has a huge portfolio of all kinds of projects, affordable housing, mixed use. And it was kind of one of those, we've sort of made some verbal partnership with this one group and they're moving forward and they're local. And if they can pull it off, it's great. But if that falls through, I am immediately on the phone to this other guy. This property is going to move and it's going to move. I don't care what we have to do within the next 12 to 15 months. Something's going to happen there. It's sat for too long. It's too important. Ideally, it is through private sale. We do have some other options. But yes.
Anybody have any questions? Or,
I did submit to UConn the one sheet for a student team to come and do some
oh, okay,
specific conceptual stuff on that parcel, mostly Greenway stuff and LID. Because that's a component we don't really have in any of the prior concept plans. And if one or both of the private developers falls through, we've been talking with Wayne sort of the ECLB working with MSRAC to create those concept plans so that we could just go out to RFP for a developer later. So like I say, we've got a series of options stacked up, and one of them is gonna bear fruit. I have said it.
Refresh my memory, what state is the dam in? Because the person will be buying that, will be buying the, responsible for the dam?
The dam, as far as we can tell, is owned by the same LLC, 630 Riverside Drive LLC, but they are separate parcels. So theoretically, there is no obligation for a private buyer of 630 to buy the dam.
Okay, that's good. A lot of people don't want to buy it.
Right. With
Why
good
not?
reason.
So that is where that is in as vague and diplomatic a fashion as we can state it.
Okay. Then we'll move on to item D, discussion on the River Mill progress and the FEMA flood map appeals update.
The engineer who did the appeal letter for us reminded me earlier this week that the appeal period has closed. So I just had an email from Diane Ikkovic. I don't think it said much, but where am I here? Just came through this morning. Doo-doo-doo. There we go. FEMA is currently evaluating Thompson's submittal. Please be advised that other appeals were received, and this watershed also includes communities in Massachusetts. They will respond when the review is complete, but have no estimate at this time. So I see, that was at 8:20 this morning. I see 3 emails in the chain since. So this is from the engineer who prepared the appeal. I assume the current firm maps stay in effect until the appeals process runs its course. And the answer is yes. And here's from Wayne. And that's from Wayne to the developer and partners, telling us what we've heard before. FEMA is lumping it all together into a single bucket, has no estimate for when they would get them done. And here's Wayne's commentary. FEMA appeals are not in my arena, but it's extremely unfortunate that there is no means with which to compel FEMA to place a huge economic development project at the top of their pile. Does anyone on this email know a strategy to accomplish this? If not, I suggest we begin with our senators and congressmen. That would actually be my suggestion. Waiting an indefinite period for FEMA to address its errors seems the epitome of bureaucratic dysfunction, and there has to be a way to change the outlook. So I would concur with Wayne's statement. My follow-up on this is going to be to forward this over to Ayanti Grant in Joe Courtney's office. She's the mover and shaker in that office and can get this stuff in front of Joe. And I'll follow up with the same. There's new people in Murphy's office and Blumenthal's office, but they've been super responsive to us recently. So I'm confident I can get in front of Courtney. Reasonably confident I can get in front of Blumenthal too. So
That is just ridiculous. We don't know when we're gonna do it.
well,
Could be 6 months.
yeah,
Could be 2 years.
Gumpert was saying he had a similar issue with a project somewhere else and contacted a state senator, and within like a week he had a call back saying, well, we're going to move this to the top of the pile. So that statement from Wayne is not just aspirational. I think that there is reason to believe that our federal representatives can in fact pressure the federal agency. So we will attempt to do so.
Great. So any other coming back to what John said with John Rice said about John Gumpert going to town in Webster's. I mean, this is the issue that's completely like holding him up from further progress, or does anybody know of anything?
The issue
Any
that's
other-
holding us up from the progress on the brownfield grant is getting the current owner to sign the negative pledge in the financial agreement for the state. So he is still balking. Again, trying to be as diplomatic about this as possible. He's essentially been given one more edit, and then we have an option we will pursue. Because again, it's the same thing. The current owner seems to be under some bizarre impression that if he doesn't sign, somehow he doesn't have liability for the brownfield cleanup. It's exactly the opposite. If he doesn't sign and we don't get $2 million of grant funds to clean that up, and the developer walks away, the full weight of the liability falls right back on him. And I can tell you that I feel the town would not be charitable to the current owner were that to transpire. So it's stupid. It's stupid, but that is what's holding us up. It's not anything in terms of the grant having to do with the flood map at this point. That
Okay.
may be holding other things up in his
Okay.
financing, his HUD financing specifically, I believe.
Okay.
But in terms of being able to go to work on what the state has said they want us to do, it's all on the current owner right now.
Okay.
We're otherwise ready to go.
Okay.
And who moves the current owner?
Well, if our polite requests to sign this in your own best interest don't work, we have a tactic in our back pocket.
Okay, boy, what an obstructionist.
If we weren't recording, I would have some very choice language,
Stronger than obstructionist?
somewhat.
Okay, then I think we can move on to item E, Main Street reconstruction, future lots of grant. This is just something for committee members who might not be aware that town does have an RFP out for engineers to make a design on the reconstruction of Main Street, because then that's something that, exactly similar to like what this happened when we had the bar grant paid for the engineer, and then the LOTSIP grant paid for the construction. I think the town has some engineering money that if the town pays for the engineering, then perhaps we can get, if not LOTSIP, some other DOT funds. And so since that is kind of in the MSRAC geographical area, if that all comes to be, I think this committee would probably have some involvement in, meeting with the designer and, just assisting the town with various tasks associated with this construction project.
See that?
Yeah, and I know Freeman said they're interested, they're gonna put in a price, and I'm sure, do you know how many
You
people?
even looked at it, right?
They did.
When we looked at it the other day.
Right, so we had an update meeting with Nunes and Freeman on Tuesday. And Yang and Christopher were both here. So they were gonna do a site walk, and they did. So they actually sent me a one-page, rough estimate of what they think it would cost out at, and it would come in, they think, at under the $3 million lots of cap. In fact, I think it was like 2.5 is what their initial walkthrough estimate was. So that makes it feasible under that program. Of course, now we know about LOTSIP, how slow it is and all those things. So, and I think they do those first come, first serve. So if there's other towns taking advantage of it, we just get stacked up behind them. But even so, we've had results from it. So it's a good strategy, I think.
And do you have any idea how many consultants have signed up, have taken out the RFP or whatever?
I do not, Marie might.
Okay, just curious, because it was just so interesting that we only had one bid on the contractor on the Riverside Drive sidewalks. Just curious, okay.
Well, in my mind, I think about that, I think, are we not gonna get many engineers to bid? But then again, well, if we only get Freeman.
I know.
They did good work for us already
Right,
once, so.
Right,
we'll
they
see.
should, I mean, I mean, it doesn't hurt, which is why I even said to Freeman directly. I mean, not all firms subscribe to the different state things, so sometimes if you know of a firm, if you just reach out to them, we have an RFP out, so.
We got a lot of responses though on this. So.
That's true, we did,
Yeah, we had 10 or 12.
yes, we did.
I mean, I think the limitations on engineering firms are slightly different than construction firms where you need to have physical bodies out there working,
Mhm.
on a constant schedule.
But if Marie says only like one or two firms took it out, then if you know any other firms, you could just make a call or just email them, by the way, we have this RFP
You
out.
could send
Who's
it
it?
out to everybody who bid on the last one.
WMC, right, well, WMC, they're doing good
WMC
work.
asked about it the other day.
Oh, they did?
Steve gave me a call and just asked about it.
Oh, good,
So,
good. So that's to at least two,
two that are familiar with the town.
two that are
too, yeah.
familiar with the town.
The firm that Kevin Grindle works for now, which was Anchor and has changed their name, they bid on this sidewalk project before. I wouldn't be surprised. And
Oh, good.
I have his email too, so I can
Good.
send that to Kevin.
So, excuse me, can you hear me?
We can now.
Oh, good. Yeah, something was wrong with the mic. I didn't realize it. What are we talking, excuse my ignorance, but I have no idea what we're talking about on Main Street. New sidewalks?
Sidewalk and road resurfacing, I think.
Oh, we can get a grant for resurfacing the road, which is something the town normally takes care of automatically.
Yes, DOT,
Okay.
there's DOT programs like urban and rural collector programs. A LOTSIP is just one of them. They've had other programs in the past.
Also, Main Street was a street that the town went to some effort to classify as a collector, so that it would be eligible for certain programs.
Is everyone aware that maybe 20, 30 years ago, Main Street was part of a test program with some company that was developing a chewed up tire sort of pavement surface, and that was used on Main Street? No one knows about that.
I wasn't aware of that, but one of the things that the consultant is tasked with is to taking core samples and evaluating the existing. pavement
Okay, that
as part of
covers
the
it.
Design.
Yeah, that would cover it, because it could have been, if it's there and it's buried, it could be an issue.
Good point. And actually Bernie, and Church Street in Putnam,
Yep.
right now the Putnam got a LOTSIP grant to do the sidewalks and the road. Now, I don't think they haven't done the road yet, but that's all being paid for by LOTSIP.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
I think they started with the milling of it. or
Okay.
tearing it up,
Yeah. Amy says she thinks it's under construction, if you didn't hear that. The road part, the sidewalks look great.
Mhm.
And then they'll do the road. Anything else?
I like a good plan.
Even if it takes 5 years to do, ultimately. we get done.
What I
Right.
have learned in my time working in municipal government is that everything takes at least 2 years, no matter how large or small it is.
Like when I restored the schoolhouse, everything cost $3,000. Didn't matter what it was $3,000.
All right, so I guess we can move up to item F, other committee business. Anybody?
I just had a question going back to the minutes that we approved. There was a comment at the very end about making a call with Amy and Wayne and the town attorney regarding 6:30. I just wanted to,
That happened. Yes, it happened.
so that you were going to talk about the mechanics of that maybe going to the land bank through the town or.
We talked about a number of options.
Okay.
And all of those options are on the table depending on how things
Oh, good.
play out. This committee may be interested to know that the Turtle Lot Trust met on Wednesday night and unanimously approved funding up to $20,000 for soft costs for the 65 Main project, the architecture and wood and engineering. So that when the Fed releases that $240,000 for construction, we can actually do something. It's got to go to a joint meeting now between the three governing boards, the Selectmen, Finance, and Ed, because each of those actually has a veto power over what the Turtle Lot Trust does, which is insane, but that is the way the bylaws are written. That hasn't been scheduled yet. But
September 28th is what we're shooting for. The last Thursday in September, so no other meetings were scheduled that day.
so that should be fine for me too. I just want to double check.
And I'm waiting to hear back. from them.
29th is the last Thursday in September.
Then it must have been a Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it was the 28th.
28th is a Wednesday, yeah. Yeah, that should be fine either way. When that meeting happens, I would certainly encourage anybody who has a vested interest in the success of this project to come and make whatever statements they need to. I don't really expect that it will go badly. It's not taxpayer funds, right? It's the Turtle Lot Trust funds. So it should be pretty pro forma, but it would be important to state the importance of having a renovated, not vacant and useful building on Main Street.
Perhaps if the date can be verified and put into our minutes, that will help remind all the MSRAC people.
I will do that. Something else I was going to say. Oh, so, and that's what actually Brian Santos and I were doing this morning, was going over the RFP for the design. He's working on that for me. So I think we're going to publish it regardless and just find the money to pay for it. But it looks like the trust is going to pony up.
Great. So we could move on to item 6, member comments. Joanne, Bernie?
Well, just after the meeting's over, I was 15 minutes late logging in. Maybe Tira or Janet, you can stay on for a minute and just go over A and B with me. I won't, don't want to do it during the meeting.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. Anything else? Okay, well then, I guess we can adjourn this meeting at 9:45.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Wow.
Well-oiled machine.
So Bernie, you want us to stay on while everybody else?
Yeah, I came in the middle of the Blaine Road intersection discussion, and I wasn't even sure what was being talked about. So just briefly, what's going on with that, with the quote from the sidewalk company, et cetera, et cetera?
Getting out.
Yeah, so I think I told you earlier, Amy and Janet and I met with Noon's
Right.
estimate last week. So we still don't have the estimate back, but
Oh, okay,
I expect it soon. They've been pretty timely.
okay,
And we're gonna move forward with it one way or the other.
good, okay. And the sidewalk project, anything discussed there beyond it? What we see is what we got?
Just some concerns about making sure that the area in front of the school is done in time for school opening, which it looks like it's gonna be.
Oh, good.
And yeah, they're just continuing apace.
There's one phone pole, power line pole, about midway around the curve that is chewed up about a third of the way through where it goes into the ground. And I reported that to Doug Grimison, who's the CLNP or Eversource engineer for Thompson. So, just letting you know that I left him a voice message. I happened to see that pole. I ran that way so I could, see the sidewalk. And I noticed that pole. So, I don't know, this was Friday. He probably got the message Monday. And whether he looked at it or not, I don't know. But I thought that was an issue that'd be better dealt with before the sidewalk was poured. So anyway, just letting you know about that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything
And
else?
that's it then. Okay, thanks all.
Okay, Have a good weekend, everyone.
Take care. Hey, Joanne. Bye, Joanne.
God willing.